Hello everyone, I'm Debbie Polachek. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today we're going to be using Celebrate Sunflower stamp sets, and we're going to be making it in 3 different sizes. I'll show you some different techniques that I used here. This is a very good tutorial for beginners. The supplies was very minimum that I used. The only stamp pads I used was the Versamark, the soft suede stamp pad. We will be using clear embossing powder on each of the cardstock, so therefore we don't need all different color inks. We just need the clear embossing powder and the Versamark and a hot tool. And you can make all these different, any color cardstock you have. You could probably even use printed paper if you wanted to. It'd probably be cute that way too. And so the first thing what we'll do, put our large stamp on a stamp block. We're going to get a piece of colored paper. Let's go ahead and use a different color. Here I got Daffodil Delight, Real Red, and Costa Cabana. This one I will be using Blushing Bride. And on the green paper I used Pear Pizzazz on all 3 of them. And so I'll take my Blushing Bride pink paper, and what I'll do is I'll use my embossing buddy and I'm going to powder this real good so when their ink gets any other place it will fall off of there easily, because when your fingers will have a little bit of oil on it, and wherever that embossing powder hits, it will know it's there and it'll stick to that as well. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to press it real good, particularly in the center. All big stamps are a little bit more difficult to stamp because the centers want to be missed. So I just took my time and did that real well. Now I know you can't see that, but trust me, it's there. Now I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to put my clear embossing powder. Now that's white. I don't want white. I want clear. And then I'm going to spread that all over there. And then I'm going to knock the rest off. And then I'll put the rest of it inside, back in my container. If you had a smaller piece of paper than I just used, it would probably be easier to handle. Okay, now when I do the embossing, I'm going to turn the noise off so you don't have to hear it, but I'm going to leave it in real time so you can see how long it takes. Okay, and I'm also going to warm up my tool before I even start, so just be aware of that. So I'll let you see in real time. I'm going to turn my tool on now and warm it up, and then I will start. Okay, I'm going to try to walk you through this, what I'm doing. I'm holding it very close to my paper, and here I'm showing you how the color of the paper cardstock changes to a shiny color when it's done. And here I'm showing you what you can't see is it's about only 1/4 of an inch. My tool is only about 1/4 inch away from the project. If you get it too close, you'll knock it off, but if you get a little closer, it'll happen a little faster for you. So here I think I'm completed, but then I go back and I say, oh no, there's a couple spots there that I kind of missed because it looks a little duller than the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and take my heating tool and heat it back up right in those spots. Now, I'm checking again to see. I'm making sure. If it's not quite right, it could be kind of crumbly. And once it is, and you knock it off, you really won't stick anymore. So you really do need to look for the shine instead. And then I took my soft suede ink pad and just started in the center. And this is very simple. Even if you're not real good at sponging, which I am not, this is pretty simple for anybody. And if you've seen, I just started in the middle, and then as it goes out, it'll get a little bit lighter and lighter. Okay, I'll do it again. And you can do this as to your heart's content. But the more you do it, the darker the flower inside would be. Okay, so I think that's good enough for that one for me. I'm going to go ahead and do my red one too, because I want to do this red one on this card. I love the red. Same thing, I'm going to start in the center, go all the way out. This one, you noticed I already have it cut out. I kind of like that dark in that one, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a good juicing on that one. Go ahead and get it real good and dark. It makes the petals show up better, doesn't it? Okay. Now I'll go ahead and line this up and cut this out. Now I also did the same exact thing to make my leaves. I did 2 leaves for each one. Okay, so what I'm looking for is this part right here has a kind of a larger gap than most, so I'm looking for that on my stamp, on my stamped image here. So I'm going to turn this until I think I found it. I think maybe it's right there. And if this lines up and everything else lines up, I did find it. But if I didn't, I'm going to have to continue. That doesn't seem to line up, does it? It sure should. Maybe I got the wrong gap. Yeah, it looks like I got there it is right here. See how this one goes over this way and this one does too? That's it. So I'm going to line this up, put some tape in it in a few places here. This is just some old washi tape. I use it over and over again until it don't stick anymore. Now I'm going to run that through my Big Shot. And I'll be right back. Now I can just take this off, and it's all cut out for me. Now I did go ahead and stamp. There's several sentiments in here. One of them says, "Let's celebrate you. Thanks a bunch. Know that you are loved. Congratulations on reaching a whole new level of wonderful." That's sweet. Okay, those are the different sentiments. And I just stamped it on some of the, this is all done on a very vanilla cardstock. And this little piece of scrap here is 3 1/4 by 1 inch. Now it doesn't have to be that big. This is on 3/4 of an inch. And so you can see there's some difference. But if you go ahead and cut that out first and then stamp on it, or the other way around, you just have to play around whichever way is best for you. Okay, for the card bases, what I did was took a whole complete sheet of cardstock. So in other words, this is a whole sheet. I scored it all 4 1/4 all the way down and cut one end off at 4 1/4. And by doing that, I got this size card and this size card right here, this longer one. Now this is a standard card, and it is again scored at 4 1/4, but this one's cut at 5 1/2 inches this way. So that's your standard card. And for each one of these, whatever the card front is after you fold it in half, to make a mat, you make it a 1/4 inch smaller. Okay, so for instance, this one is 4 1/4. So your mat is 4 inches this way, and it's 5 1/2 inches long. So you'll take a 1/4 inch off of that, and that makes it 5 1/4. So this is 5 1/4 by 4. Okay. This one's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So you'll make your mat 4 by 4. This one is 4 1/4, which is 4 this way, and it's 6 3/4 inches long, so you'll make your 6 1/2 inches long. Okay. Now, for the background, it was a very simple background. I just took my leaves. I put my leaves all together on the stamp thing. And for the first one, I stamped it full strength. This one, I went ahead and lightened it up a little bit. And I stamped what they call stamping it off. This time, I think my ink pads are very juicy because I just re-inked them. So I'm going to go ahead this time and stamp off 2 times and see if I can tell much difference. Because there's not a whole lot of difference between those two. So I'm going to do it a little bit more and see what we get, okay? So this time I'm going to take my ink pad. And like I said, for this first one, I just went stamped on my paper like that. And that's what I did, lived with. This next one, I stamped it off on my piece of paper and then stamped it on here. I'll put it in the middle because that's where my flower is going to be. But this one, I'm going to stamp it off 2 times and then put it there. Now see that? See the difference in that? That makes a real nice subtle background. That's really what I'd like to have in the first place. And then I'm going to just kind of meet those leaves as close as I can without overlapping. If you overlap a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything. It's just a background. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Get you a little bit there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and as you notice, I'm trying to turn my stamp different directions when I'm doing this. And then I took my sponge dauber again, and I worked that same color all around the edge by starting on the paper first, and it's just barely hitting my paper, my cardstock on the edges. Now, if you wanted to work this in more, you could. That's up to you. Okay. Now, for this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to go ahead and take a real red, my re-inker in real red. These re-inkers are very inexpensive. They're to re-ink your ink pads when they run out. And this is a good little technique just to add a little bit, because I want to add my red flower to the front. And I'm going to just put a couple drops of the real red inker, the same color of cardstock that I used. And I'm going to take just a paintbrush. Any paintbrush will do. This is one of the aqua painters. And now I notice now they don't have aqua painters, but they have another type of water things. And I'm going to go ahead and squirt a little bit of that water in there. And as you notice, the ink pulled up in that real easy. Then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to take my brush and just hit that on my paper. Now this will splatter in a lot of different places, so just be aware of that. I'm going to just glue my mats straight down to my card. I'll start with this one first. Just running a little bead of ink, little bit of glue along the edges and on the inside a little bit. And grab my red flower, a couple of my leaves, and put my thing down there. I think that looks good. Now this one I think I'm going to go ahead and just glue the leaves down. Now we have an item called dimensionals, and they're just little bitty sponged things that makes your whatever you put it under lift up a bit. So I'm going to use probably, yeah, 5 of them. Here our humidity is pretty high, so I want to be sure that it stays that way. And you just push them on there like that. And when you use these, you don't even have to use glue. You just pull the little backings off. And you put that on your card. And that just raises it up just a little bit. Makes it look very nice. And then I'm going to put my, I think I'm going to put my sentiment right there. And I'm going to use one of the dimensions back here because it's not hitting on the flower. But I am going to use, just glue the other part of it straight down to my card. So I'll just put this one here. And then glue the rest down. Okay, so that card's finished. So we got, and this one is done exact same way, except there's no dimensions using underneath there. It's just glued straight down to the card. Okay. Now this one, I'm going to go ahead and use 2. This one I went and cut fun foam out of this same die. And this gives it a real good protection, especially if you're mailing it somewhere. Because, you know, the mail's pretty rough. I think the dimensionals will do okay, but this will even do better. And I kind of like the way that looks along the edge. It kind of gives it a thickness. And see, I just held that where it needs to be. And then I just pulled it apart and glued one side, and then I'll do the same thing over here. Just pull it apart and glue the other side. The glue takes a little while to dry, so that's good. It gives you time to slip it around. This stamp set is a very good stamp set for beginners. Very easy to work with. And so this one I'm going to glue straight down, and this one I'm going to go ahead and glue up a little bit so we can have that one like that. Now where do I want to put my leaves? I think things kind of usually look better when they're not lined up perfectly. So we'll do that. And actually I think I might cut me a piece of fun foam that's this big here underneath here. I'll do that right now. And just cut it out with a pair of paper snips. Looks like that was just the right side in that piece of scrap. Okay. Yeah, can we think of something else we could do to this one that would make it a little bit different? I think maybe Stampin' Up! Doesn't have that color blue in the markers, but let's see if from our little our little thing here. This is a sample of all the markers that they have right now in stock. And I've just did a little thing to so I'll know what colors they have. Ooh, it looks like this shaded, isn't that strange how that shaded spruce worked out? Looks like it's pretty good with that, and so is the jade. I could go and color or shade in some of those colors in the background. And this is the Bermuda Bay. This is the same color as this. I could use that. But I kind of like the little bit different color, actually. Even the pool party is not bad. The light pool party. Yeah, I think I might go with that. Unless I want a color. What is the opposite of the color wheel of turquoise? A blue. It's red, yellow, orange. Orange may look good, like the pumpkin pie. Ooh, that would be pretty. The light pumpkin pie. That's a contrasting color. When you do contrasting colors, that makes everything just pop even more. So let's go ahead and go for that. I think that will be pretty. I'm going to use the light pumpkin pie. It's this one here. And I'm just going to basically color all these leaves, the ones that you can see here in the background, with this light pumpkin pie. It ain't going to take long because I'm not going to take too much time with it. And if I don't think it's going to show, I'm not going to bother. Okay, let's see. This one shows. This one shows. I can go ahead and mark all these that show. I'm going to kind of put that there. This one shows. That one shows a little bit. Okay, now I know which ones I need to color. Okay, let's put that back, see what we think. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, so this one I'm going to go ahead and glue it straight down. Putting this one a little bit to this side. And this one a little bit to this side. Okay. These I'm going to go ahead and glue those straight down. This will glue here. Okay. That's the end of this. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, I wish you to give me a thumbs up, share, like, subscribe. And like I said, stay tuned and we'll go ahead and I'll teach you how to make envelopes for all these. And $50 or more, I will send you a free catalog. And I also have other gifts in case you spend more than that, like a $100 gift. I have a little bow maker that I could send you. So anyway, thank you. Bye-bye.